Hey, wrestling fans. Brian Crazy F and True Wrestling. Back at you with this week's Raw review for February 7th, 2011. Um, it was an interesting night on Raw. I wouldn't say it was a fantastic show. I wouldn't say it was a horrible show. Um, it was very Nexus heavy, and it was very focused on the build to Elimination Chamber. There was a SmackDown segment or so, thrown in the mix, to kind of continue the interpromotional build towards WrestleMania, but very Nexus heavy, very Elimination Chamber um, participant heavy. There needs to be some build for some additional storylines, in my opinion. I think, the gimmick pay-per-views, as long as they do multiple gimmick matches, I think they can pull them off okay. They've had some difficulty doing it in the past, I'm not going to lie. Um, I personally think that every match needs to be the given gimmick of the pay-per-view. Say it's a elimination chamber like we're talking about now that's coming up in 2 weeks. It needs to have 7 elimination chamber matches on the card. Yeah, throw the Divas in a regular match, and maybe you have maybe one title match or something's contested, or one singles match is contested without the chamber the side or the other. It's all dependent on the build and the storylines, and um, obviously what the finished product that they're going towards. But jump right into Raw. Raw starts out with Vince McMahon. Surprisingly enough, we haven't seen Vince actual on stage over a year. We saw him in that little skit right around the Connecticut election time when Linda was facing Richard Blumenthal. He had the Blumenthal poster on his ass. I am from Connecticut, so I probably find that a little bit funnier than most. Um, but it was cool to see Vince. I was really hoping he was going to go down to the ring, and the segment would be just a little bit longer. But he talked about the Super Bowl. He said now that's over. He says now it's time for WrestleMania. He pretty much put WrestleMania over the Super Bowl, which in the wrestling world it is our Super Bowl. And basically cut a real good promo and said that that next week on Raw we'll find out who the WrestleMania guest host is going to be. So I think that's pretty cool. So we're going to have a WrestleMania guest host. I hope it's somebody worthy. I don't just throw some random frickin' first name that you can find in here. And The Rock being Raw guest host would be fucking awesome. Stone Cold being the Raw guest host. Yeah, he's got the tough enough gig, but even that, and not Raw guest host, excuse me, WrestleMania guest host. Um, Nash headlined WrestleMania. I mean, that might be part of his Legends deal. There's a whole bunch of possibilities. So then we kind of see Randy Orton come out. The chairman just kind of gives him a nod, like, pretty impressed in the talent I got these days. I think you need more, though. I really do. I think you're building a lot of great future stars, but a lot of this generation that we've been enjoying for the last 10 years, which, I'm nostalgic, as everybody knows, but I have a feeling that this generation is going to start to retire. We're already seeing Edge possibly thinking about it. Um, so then we see the Nexus come down and beat down on Randy Orton, and it's the four of them at first. We don't see CM Punk at first, or CM Punk directs traffic, excuse me. And then he tries to get in the ring. Once he's all beaten down, how tough really is he? And Orton gets a fucking sick headbutt and kicks him right, I believe, right in the face. And I mean, Punk's bleeding everywhere. So I mean, we're already 15 minutes into the show, and we got to see Vince McMahon and blood. I mean, for a typical Monday Night Raw, I mean, you go back 10 years ago, yeah, this was every Monday night, but I mean, in this PG era, I was pretty shocked. I was like, wow. And later on in the night, we even get a couple good chair shots. I was like, holy crap, we got Vince McMahon blood and chair shots. I was like, wow. Is this signaling the end of the PG era? I doubt it, but I hope so. Or are they pushing the envelope as much as possible? Like I've said in past videos, SmackDown was a PG show until from 1999 until current, because it was on network television. So, and they pushed the envelope there. So I don't see why it can't be done, yet again. So then we move into our first match where we see new Nexus member, Mason Ryan, the Beast from Wales. This guy, brute fucking power, man. I mean, brute power. I don't know how precise he is with quote unquote wrestling moves, but I mean, as a just a powerhouse, the guy's got it. I think even more so than the guy he's always been compared to, Batista. I mean, this guy is fucking brutal. He went against R-Truth, which, I mean, R-Truth ain't that heavy either, which R-Truth fucking fucked up big time. I don't know if he was screwing around or not, but he goes, Green Bay, Wisconsin, what's up? And they were in Milwaukee, and he even got Michael Cole going, Milwaukee, which I thought was pretty funny. So, you thought Mason Ryan won. He did this impressive submission hold. So, yeah, I guess he does know a wrestling maneuver. And I'm kind of impressed by this guy's brute power. I'm really curious what they do with him in future weeks. And then we see him just hold this hold until the referee says, screw it, you're disqualified. You ain't getting the W. You know, R-Truth is the winner. And he just keeps, fucking him up. And then we move into a women's match. We see, I just have some notes up on my PC, that's why I'm looking over, guys. We see Eve Torres, Gail Kim, and Tamina go against Melina and the Bella Twins. I guess the whole thing with Daniel Bryan being with Gail Kim, now we're seeing the Bellas as more of a heel faction along with Melina. I know that they were heels, previously. One was a heel, one was a face. I can't tell the difference between the frickin' two. So it's kind of like the Uso brothers. I mean, they're pretty good, the Usos, I'm saying. But, I mean, I don't know which one's which. We see Eve, Gail, and Tamina pick up the victory in that match. And I've noticed Tamina looks like she's been losing a lot of weight and really getting toned up in recent weeks. I wonder if that's something she's doing for herself or she's feeling pressure from the WWE. I mean, I think she is a great athlete, so, I'm tired of all that. I think anybody can perform at whatever size they are, as long as, they follow. If you're going to be in the ring for 15, 20 minutes, you got to have good cardiovascular health. You can be 400 pounds and have good cardiovascular health. It's how you take care of yourself. And I think that's BS with Husky. They're not too impressed with Husky, but I think Husky was brutal in the Rumble. Watch the Rumble. I think Husky did better than most of the other Nexus members, but that's neither here nor there. But speaking of the Nexus, next match, we see another Nexus match. We see Michael McGillicuddy go against John Morrison. John Morrison ended up picking up the victory, and we end up seeing a post-match beatdown. And then we go to a commercial, and then we come back with WWE Champion The Miz. He's cutting a whole promo, this, that, and the other. And Lawler interrupts, and I was excited to see Lawler do a promo and build towards this because I would really love to see Jerry Lawler kick Miz's ass. I don't care what any of the fanboys out there say. Miz is garbage as champion. I think he does have promise in the wrestling world. Don't get me wrong. He's a great heel, but I just don't like this title reign. I think that's the way it's engineered, so we don't like it, obviously. But, I'm just not. I want something new. I want something different. And I mean, for a man that's held over 150 championships worldwide, why can't Jerry Lawler finally get his chance to shine? And, his promo wasn't too strong, but he got his point across that The Miz is awful and, basically it. Then we see Daniel Bryan and Jerry Lawler tag against The Miz and Ted DiBiase. Ted DiBiase was the worker of this match. Oh my God, DiBiase, this is fucking talent, dude. This is talent. Not being pushed properly. This guy has got it. He needs to have the U.S. strap put around his waist. Him and Daniel Bryan need a better feud. This needs to get going. They need to light a fire under the ass of the creative guy and get this feud on the way. Then we see what was scheduled to be King Sheamus versus David Otunga, which kind of harkened back to an interview back in the day. You see Sheamus walking down, and he's like, and you see Josh Matthews, who reminds me of Michael Cole Jr. He kind of looks like a little John Cena. Does an interview saying, "Oh, you said this about Mark Henry said this about you." Then he starts dissing Mark Henry. So Mark Henry comes out, and Otunga ends up not having to wrestle. And Mark Henry just decimates Sheamus. I mean, 2 world's strongest slams. Pretty impressive. Then we see Alberto Del Rio go against Santino Morella. Santino did a couple impressive wrestling moves. I'm not going to put aside him. I like Santino for his comic relief, and I think he does have some in-ring ability. I thought it was a pretty decent contest. Obviously, Del Rio was going to get over just to cement his victory in the Royal Rumble because Santino was the last person he eliminated, which they probably should have done that ending just a little bit different. Um, in other news, yeah, real quick, other news before I get to, we're almost finishing up the card here. We got one last match. In other news, we've got news on Kevin Nash. We see that Kevin Nash, I guess, was originally thought to sign a Legends deal. Now they might try to get him involved in maybe a match or two, more in developmental. Um, when more information on that comes out, we will let you know. But for the last match on the card to finish this up, we saw CM Punk versus John Cena. CM Punk ended up winning by disqualification. This was it was an interesting match. It kind of went both ways for a little bit. And, post match, we saw Otunga and McGillicuddy run out to the ring. Cena, you know, is attacking these two guys. We got Mason Ryan outside the ring checking on Punk. Lawler gets up, throws Cena a chair, and this is what I was talking about. We got a couple chair shots, and I was like, holy crap. Chair shots, blood, Vince McMahon, this has been, if they can keep moving on this path. I'm not saying a Nexus night, but keep moving on this path. I mean, it was an interesting build, don't get me wrong. And, yeah, so that's about it for Raw. I apologize that I did not get this up on Monday. My broadcast colleague JC went ahead and threw something together for you guys, so you had some results, because there is a lot of viewers around this world that do not get to see these shows as they broadcast here in the United States. As a U.S.-based organization, World Wrestling Entertainment, obviously, this is the core market, and then everywhere else is also potential marketplaces. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure they appreciate every single fan out there. But guys, thanks for watching this vid. Please comment, and I will have up some SmackDown results shortly.